Admiral Kim Tae-ho stood at the window of Earth's Defense Command, watching the morning sun rise over the Pacific Ocean. He was 53 years old with gray hair and tired eyes. For 20 years he had watched humans spread across the stars. 17 colonies now existed beyond Earth. Each one was a peaceful place where humans grew food, built homes, and raised families. The door behind him opened. Dr. Park Soo-jin walked in carrying a data pad. She was 40 years old, with black hair tied back in a simple style. As Earth's chief diplomat, she had spent the last 5 years talking with alien species. Most of them were friendly. Some traded with humans. A few ignored them completely. "Admiral," she said, "we have a problem." Kim turned around. He saw worry in her eyes. "What kind of problem?" "The Velkari Empire sent us a message. It arrived an hour ago." Kim knew about the Velkari. They controlled a large part of the galaxy. 3 different alien species worked together under their rule. They had powerful weapons and many ships. Most other aliens feared them. "What do they want?" Kim asked. Soo-jin touched her data pad. A hologram appeared in the air. It showed a tall, alien creature with purple skin and 4 arms. Sharp teeth filled its mouth. 2 smaller aliens stood behind it. One looked like a giant insect. The other was covered in scales like a snake. "I am War Master Thek of the Velkari Empire," the alien said. Its voice was deep and angry. "You humans have spread far enough. You will leave all worlds beyond your home system. You will also pay us tribute every year. We want 50% of everything you make." Kim felt his hands form fists. "What happens if we refuse?" The alien smiled, showing more sharp teeth. "Then we will kill every human in the galaxy. We will burn your worlds. We will turn your colonies into dust. You have 30 days to decide." The message ended. The room became quiet. "How many ships do they have?" Kim asked. "Our spies count about 50,000 warships," Soo-jin said. "They have plasma weapons that can cut through most armor. Their shields are very strong. In the last 100 years, they conquered 6 different species. The longest war lasted only 3 weeks. Kim walked to his desk and sat down. On the wall hung pictures of human colonies. New Seoul was a farming world with golden fields. New Busan was a mining planet with deep tunnels. New Jeju had beautiful oceans and floating cities. Millions of humans lived on these worlds. They had children, dreams, and hopes for the future. "Have they done this before?" Kim asked. "Yes. The pattern is always the same. They give the ultimatum. The species tries to fight. The Velkari destroy them completely. Sometimes they keep a few alive as slaves." Kim thought about his own family. His daughter lived on New Seoul with her husband and 2 children. His son worked as an engineer on New Busan. If the Velkari came, they would all die. "What do our colonies say?" Soo-jin looked at her data pad again. "Captain Lee Dong-woo sent a message from the Outer Defense Fleet. He says his pilots are ready to fight. Colonel Shin Hee-won on New Jeju says her ground forces will never surrender. Engineer Cho Min-ho wants to know if we should start building more weapons. And what do you think we should do?" Soo-jin was quiet for a long moment. She had always believed in peace. For 5 years, she had solved problems by talking. She had made friends with many alien species. But the Velkari were different. "I think we should try to negotiate," she said. "Maybe we can find a compromise. Maybe they will accept less tribute. Or maybe they will let us keep some colonies." Kim shook his head. "You heard the message. They want everything. This is not about money or resources. This is about power. They want to show the galaxy that no one can challenge them. So what are our options?" Kim stood up and walked to another window. Below, he could see the city of New Tokyo. Millions of people were starting their day. They were going to work, taking children to school, meeting friends for lunch. None of them knew that their species might be extinct in 30 days. "We can surrender," Kim said. "We can give them what they want, bring everyone back to Earth and live under their rule. That would mean abandoning 17 worlds. Millions of people would lose their homes. Or we can fight." Soo-jin looked worried. "Admiral, they have 50,000 ships. We have maybe 3,000. Their weapons are stronger. Their armor is thicker. How can we possibly win?" Kim smiled for the first time that day. It was not a happy smile. It was the smile of a man who knew a secret. Sujin, how long have you been our chief diplomat? 5 years. And in those 5 years, what have you told other species about humans? She thought about it. I told them we are peaceful. I said we prefer to trade rather than fight. I explained that we explore space to find new homes and make new friends. Good. That is exactly what I wanted you to say. Sujin looked confused. I don't understand. Kim walked to his safe and entered a code. The heavy door opened. Inside were documents marked with red stamps. The words, Top Secret, were written on every page. What I am about to show you cannot leave this room, Kim said. Only 50 people on Earth know about this. Only 10 people know the full truth. He pulled out a thick folder and placed it on his desk. For the last 20 years, while we were building peaceful colonies, we were also preparing for war, real war, total war. Sujin opened the folder. Her eyes went wide as she read the first page. Project Dark Star, she whispered. What is this? Every ship we sent to establish colonies also carried weapons, hidden weapons. Every peaceful trading post is also a military base. Every mining operation has been building materials for warships. Kim turned to another page. It showed a map of space with red dots marking human positions. We have been watching the Velkari for 15 years. We know where all their ships are. We know how their weapons work. We even know what they eat for, breakfast. But how? How is this possible? Because, Sujin, humans are very good at one thing. We are good at learning. We study our enemies. We prepare for every possibility. And we never, ever let anyone see us coming. Kim walked to a wall panel and pressed his hand against it. The wall slid away, revealing a hidden room. Inside, holographic displays showed star maps, ship designs, and battle plans. Engineer Cho Min-ho has not been building farming equipment. He has been building weapons that can destroy Velkari shields. Captain Lee Dong-woo's defense fleet is 3 times larger than anyone knows. Colonel Shin Haya-wan's ground forces have been training for guerrilla warfare since the day they arrived. Sujin sat down heavily in a chair. You mean we have been lying to everyone, to our own people, to our allies? We have been protecting them. If the Velkari knew our real strength, they would have attacked us years ago with their full force. Now they think we are weak. They think this will be easy. And will it be? Easy for us, I mean? Kim's smile became darker. The Velkari have conquered 6 species in the last 100 years. Do you know what those species had in common? They were peaceful? No. They were honorable. They fought fair wars with rules and mercy. They tried to protect their civilians. They negotiated when they were losing. Kim pointed to another document in the folder. Humans do not fight fair wars, Sujin. When we fight to win. When someone threatens our families, we do not show mercy. When someone wants to make us slaves, we show them what real monsters look like. The door chimed. A young officer entered and saluted. Admiral, all colony worlds are requesting permission to reject the Velkari ultimatum. Kim looked at Sujin one last time. The choice is yours. You are still our chief diplomat. You can try to negotiate. You can try to find peace. Sujin thought about her 5 years of peaceful talks. She thought about the alien friends she had made. She thought about the children on 17 worlds who deserved to grow up free. She stood up and walked to the communication panel. This is Dr. Park Sujin, speaking for Earth and all human colonies, she said into the microphone. War Master Thek, we reject your ultimatum. We will not abandon our homes. We will not pay tribute. And we will not bow to your empire. She paused and looked at Kim. If you want our worlds, come and take them. The message was sent across space to the Velkari Empire. War Master Thek would receive it in 6 hours. Kim put his hand on Sujin's shoulder. They wanted to fight humans, he said quietly. Now they will learn what humans really are. War Master Thek laughed when he received the human message. He was standing in the command center of his flagship, surrounded by hundreds of alien officers. The ship was 5 kilometers long and carried enough weapons to destroy a small moon. You hear that? He said to his staff. The humans think they can fight us. His second-in-command, an insect-like creature called Zix, clicked its mandibles nervously. War Master, should we send the full fleet? Full fleet? Thek's laugh grew louder. For these soft mammals, send 5,000 ships. That is more than enough to burn every human world. On the bridge, tactical displays showed the Velkari Empire's strength. 50,000 warships spread across dozens of star systems, plasma cannons that could melt mountains, shield generators that could stop nuclear weapons, soldiers bred for war and conquest. How long did it take us to defeat the Karathi? Thek asked. 18 days, War Master. And the Zalani? 12 days. The humans will last less than a week, Thek declared. Begin the attack. Target their outer colonies first. Leave their home world for last. I want them to watch their empire burn before they die. 5,000 Velkari ships jumped to hyperspace, heading for human space. 3 days later, the first attack began. Colonel Shin Hee-won was eating breakfast in her command bunker on New Jeju when the alarms started screaming. She was 35 years old with short black hair and scars on her hands from years of combat training. Above ground, the floating cities of New Jeju looked peaceful in the morning light. Below ground, military tunnels stretched for hundreds of kilometers. "Colonel!" Her communications officer ran into the room. "Velkari ships just dropped out of hyperspace. 200 vessels, heading straight for us." Hye-won put down her coffee and smiled. For 3 years, she had been preparing for this moment. Her soldiers had trained in secret. Her weapons were hidden in civilian buildings. Her people knew exactly what to do. "Send the evacuation signal," she ordered. "All civilians to the underground shelters. Military units to positions Alpha through Zeta." Outside, sirens began to wail. To any watching enemy, it would look like panic. Civilians running in fear, a desperate attempt to hide from superior firepower. But Shin Hye-won knew better. Her people were not running in panic. They were taking their positions in the largest trap ever built. In space above New Jeju, Velkari Commander Krex watched the human colony through his ship's sensors. The floating cities looked defenseless. A few small patrol boats tried to escape, but his ships destroyed them easily. "Humans are even weaker than I expected," Krex told his crew. "Begin bombardment. Target the largest cities first." Plasma beams lanced down from orbit. They struck the floating cities and turned them into balls of fire. Buildings melted, bridges collapsed. Within minutes, the beautiful ocean world looked like a vision of hell. "Scan for survivors," Krex ordered. His sensors detected thousands of life signs underground. "They are hiding in tunnels like insects," he said with disgust. "Send down the ground troops. Kill everything that moves." 1,000 Velkari soldiers descended to the planet's surface. They were 3 meters tall with thick armor and powerful weapons. They had conquered dozens of worlds. They expected this to be easy. They were wrong. The first squad entered a tunnel that led toward the underground shelters. The tunnel was wide and well lit. It seemed to lead straight to the human hiding places. 30 meters in, the floor exploded. The Velkari soldiers fell into a pit filled with sharp metal spikes. The survivors tried to climb out, but hidden guns opened fire from the walls. Within seconds, the entire squad was dead. "Ambush!" The squad leader's final message crackled over the radio. More soldiers entered other tunnels. More traps waited for them. Some tunnels filled with poison gas. Others collapsed, burying the invaders alive. Hidden bombs turned intersections into killing zones. Commander Krex watched his soldiers die and felt anger building in his chest. "What is happening down there?" "The humans are using guerrilla tactics," his tactical officer reported. "They are not fighting like honorable warriors. They use tricks and traps." "Then we burn them out, increase bombardment, melt the entire surface." For 6 hours, plasma fire rained down on New Jeju. The ocean began to boil, the air filled with steam and smoke. Any normal enemy would have surrendered by now, but the humans kept fighting. In her command bunker, Shin Hee-won watched her enemy waste ammunition on empty buildings. Her real forces were hidden in deep shelters that could survive anything short of planet-cracking weapons. "Phase 2, she ordered. Hidden missile batteries rose from the ocean floor. They had been disguised as coral reefs and underwater mountains. For 3 years, automated systems had been building these weapons using materials from the planet's mining operations. 1,000 missiles streaked up from the depths. They used new human technology that made them invisible to Velkari sensors. The first wave struck 3 enemy ships before the aliens even knew they were under attack. "Impossible!" Krex shouted as his flagship shuddered under impact. "Where did those weapons come from?" More missiles followed. These ones carried special warheads designed by engineer Cho Min-ho. Instead of explosions, they released clouds of metal-eating nanobots. The tiny machines swarmed over Velkari hulls and began dissolving their armor. "Sir, we are losing hull integrity on 17 ships. All vessels, retreat to safe distance. Target those missile sites." But when the Velkari tried to target the launchers, they found nothing. The missiles came from mobile platforms that disappeared back into the ocean after firing. As the Velkari ships pulled back, Captain Lee Dong-woo's surprise arrived. Lee was 38 years old with pilot skills that bordered on superhuman. He commanded a small fleet of human ships that had been hiding in the asteroid belt around New Jeju's sun. His vessels used new stealth technology that made them invisible until they wanted to be seen. "Attack pattern Omega," Lee announced to his pilots. "Remember, we are not trying to win. We are trying to teach them fear." 20 human ships suddenly appeared behind the Velkari fleet. They moved faster than anything the aliens had ever seen. Their weapons were different too. Instead of energy beams, they fired solid projectiles at incredible speeds. The kinetic rounds punched through Velkari shields like they were made of paper. Enemy ships that had seemed invincible began to explode. "What kind of weapons are those?" Krex demanded. "Simple physics," Lee said over an open channel. "Mass times velocity equals very dead aliens." The human ships darted between the larger Velkari vessels like wolves attacking bears. They struck fast and hard, then disappeared before return fire could reach them. In 30 minutes, Lee's small force destroyed 40 enemy ships and damaged dozens more. "This is impossible," Krex's tactical officer reported. "They are primitives. They should not have technology this advanced." But Commander Krex was beginning to understand. The humans had been lying. All their talk of peace and exploration had been a cover. These were not innocent farmers and miners. These were warriors who had been preparing for war. "Send a message to War Master Thek," Krex ordered as his fleet retreated. "Tell him we need reinforcements. Tell him the humans are not what they seem." On the surface of New Jeju, Shin Hye-won emerged from her bunker to survey the damage. Most of the floating cities were gone, but her people were alive. The enemy had been driven off, and most importantly, they had sent a message to every Velkari in the galaxy. Humans could fight back, but this was just the beginning. 1,000 light-years away, engineer Cho Min-ho was putting the finishing touches on weapons that would make the Velkari wish they had never heard of humanity. His laboratory was hidden deep inside an asteroid, disguised as a mining operation. For 5 years, he had been studying captured Velkari technology. He knew exactly how their shields worked. He knew exactly how to defeat them. "Phase 1 is complete," he reported to Admiral Kim Tae-ho. "The enemy now knows we can hurt them. Are you ready for Phase 2? Kim's voice came through the encrypted channel. "Begin production of the Prometheus weapons. It is time to show the galaxy what humans do to species that threaten our children." In space around New Jeju, the wreckage of Velkari ships drifted in. The darkness. Some contained survivors who would be rescued by their own forces. These survivors would carry stories back to the Velkari Empire. Stories about humans who fought like demons. Humans who used the enemy's strength against them. Humans who seemed weak, but struck like lightning from the darkness. War Master Thek would hear these stories and realize that this war would not be the easy victory he had expected. He would send more ships, stronger weapons, his best commanders. But, deep in human space, Admiral Kim Tae-ho was already 3 steps ahead. The real war had not even begun yet. The Velkari had seen only a tiny fraction of human capability. Soon they would learn the difference between fighting soldiers and fighting monsters. Commander Yoon Ji-sung sat in her intelligence center surrounded by star maps and enemy fleet positions. She was 42 years old with cold eyes that missed nothing. For 10 years, she had been building a spy network that reached into the heart of the Velkari Empire. "The enemy is confused," she reported to Kim. "They expected us to surrender after losing 1 colony. Instead, we hurt them badly. They are sending 20,000 ships to human space. War Master Thek's rage filled the command center of his flagship. 3 weeks had passed since the humans rejected his ultimatum. 3 weeks of increasing humiliation for the mighty Velkari Empire. 20,000 ships, he roared at his assembled commanders. I am sending 20,000 ships to crush these insects. This ends now. The reports from New Jeju had shaken the Velkari military. Humans were supposed to be weak traders and farmers. Instead, they had fought like seasoned warriors, using tactics the Velkari had never seen. War Master, Commander Zix spoke carefully. Perhaps we should study their methods before— No! Thek's forearms slammed onto the command table. We do not study prey, we destroy it. The humans got lucky once. It will not happen again. Across Velkari space, the largest military force in their history began to move. 20,000 warships, each one capable of destroying cities. Plasma weapons that could boil oceans. Troops bred for conquest. In human space, Admiral Kim Tae-ho watched the enemy fleet approach through long-range sensors. He stood in a hidden command center built inside an ordinary-looking asteroid. Around him, dozens of officers coordinated the defense of 17 human worlds. Enemy fleet will reach our outer colonies in 4 days, reported Commander Yoon Ji-sung. Intelligence confirms they are bringing their best ships and most experienced commanders. Kim nodded. And Admiral Kang Yoon-ji? Shadow Fleet is ready. All vessels are hidden and waiting for your signal. Kim smiled. For 20 years, humanity had been preparing for this moment. While they built peaceful colonies on the surface, they had also built a secret fleet in the darkness between stars. Shipyards hidden in asteroid fields, weapons facilities disguised as mining operations, soldiers, trained in tactics no honorable species would use. Begin Phase 2, Kim ordered. Show them what humans really are. The first sign that something was wrong came when the Velkari fleet reached the edge of human space. Their sensors detected 17 human colonies, just as expected. But they also detected something else. War Master, the sensor officer reported, nervously. We are reading strange energy signatures throughout this system. What kind of signatures? Unknown, sir. They appear to be coming from asteroids and empty space. Thek dismissed the report. Sensor ghosts. These humans probably do not even know how to maintain their equipment properly. But Commander Krex, the survivor from New Jeju, felt worry growing in his stomach. He had learned not to underestimate humans. War Master, I suggest we proceed carefully. The humans are about to learn why 6 species bow before the Velkari Empire, Thek interrupted. Begin the attack. The massive fleet moved toward the human colony of New Seoul. It was a farming world with golden fields and peaceful cities. Long-range scans showed no significant defenses. A few orbital platforms that looked like communication satellites. Some small patrol ships that fled as soon as they detected the approaching armada. This will be easier than New Jeju, Thek declared. Admiral Kang Yoon-ji watched the enemy fleet approach from her hidden command ship. She was 50 years old with silver, hair and eyes like ice. For 15 years, she had commanded humanity's shadow fleet, building and training in absolute secrecy. All units, maintain stealth, she ordered. Let them get comfortable. Around New Seoul, the space that looked empty suddenly revealed its secrets. Asteroids that had seemed natural were actually massive weapons platforms. Communication satellites opened to reveal missile launchers. Even the planet's moons began to move, showing they were artificial constructs filled with human weapons. What in the void? Thek started to say. Then the first wave hit. 1,000 missiles launched simultaneously from hidden platforms. But these were not ordinary missiles. Engineer Cho Min-ho had spent years perfecting weapons specifically designed to kill Velkari ships. The warheads contained compressed matter that created miniature black holes on impact. Velkari shields, designed to stop energy weapons, provided no protection against gravitational forces that bent space itself. Impossible! Thek watched in horror as his front lines simply vanished. Ships were crushed into points of light as artificial gravity wells tore them apart. Second wave launching, came reports from across his fleet. This time, the missiles carried nanobots programmed to target Velkari technology. The tiny machines swarmed over enemy hulls and began eating through their weapons systems and life support. Ships retreat to safe distance, But as the Velkari fleet pulled back, Admiral Kang Yunji sprung her real trap. Shadow Fleet, decloak, execute Omega Protocol. The space around the Velkari armada suddenly filled with human ships. They appeared from nowhere, dropping their stealth fields to reveal vessels unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. These were not the small, fast ships that had harassed the Velkari at New Jeju. These were dreadnoughts built specifically for total war. Each one was 3 kilometers long and covered with weapons that defied known physics. Where did they come from? Krex whispered. They were here all along, Admiral Kang's voice broadcast on all frequencies. Hidden in the dark, waiting for you to make the mistake of threatening our homes. The Shadow Fleet opened fire. Human weapons had evolved far beyond anything the Velkari understood. Some ships fired beams of pure antimatter that deleted anything they touched. Others launched swarms of hunter-killer drones that targeted enemy life support systems. The largest vessels carried something engineer Cho Min-ho called reality disruptors, weapons that temporarily changed the laws of physics in localized areas. In 30 minutes, the Velkari lost 5,000 ships. "This is impossible!" Thek screamed. "They are a primitive species. How do they have technology that surpasses our own?" The answer came from Dr. Ryu J. Wook, speaking from his hidden laboratory on New Busan. He was 60 years old with white hair and the mind of a genius who had spent decades preparing for this war. "We studied you." His voice reached every Velkari ship through their own communication systems. "For 20 years, we watched and learned. Every piece of your technology that we could salvage, we improved. Every tactic you used on other species. We developed counters. You thought you were facing farmers and traders. You were wrong." General Nam Kyung-soo coordinated the next phase from his command center deep inside New Busan's mining tunnels. He was 45 years old with the strategic mind that had planned humanity's total war doctrine. "All colonies begin Phase 3, he ordered. "Time to show them that every human world is a fortress." Across human space, the peaceful colonies revealed their true nature. Farming equipment transformed into weapons platforms. Mining lasers became ship-killing beams. Terraforming equipment began launching asteroids at enemy vessels. But the most terrifying revelation was the colonies themselves. Each human world had been built with hidden defensive systems that turned the entire planet into a weapon. New souls. Grain fields suddenly opened to reveal underground missile silos. New Busan's mining tunnels became launch tubes for kinetic projectiles. Even New Jeju's boiling oceans had been weaponized, using geothermal energy to power massive railguns. "Every human colony is a fortress," General Nam's voice echoed across the battlefield. "Every human civilian is a soldier waiting for orders. Every human world is ready to fight to the death." War Master Thek watched his invincible armada being systematically destroyed by an enemy he had completely underestimated. The humans were not fighting an honorable war with clear battle lines and noble combat. They were fighting like apex predators, who had lured their prey into a trap. "Sir," Commander Zix reported, "we have lost 8,000 ships. The humans are targeting our command vessels specifically. They seem to know exactly where our officers are located." That was when Thek realized the full scope of human preparation. They had not just been building weapons in secret. They had been gathering intelligence, studying Velkari society, learning every weakness in their military structure. "Fall back," he ordered. "Full retreat to the outer system." But Admiral Kang Yun-ji was not finished. "Shadow Fleet, pursue. Do not let any enemy vessel escape to report our full capabilities." The chase through the outer system became a massacre. Human ships moved faster than anything the Velkari had ever seen. Their weapons reached impossible ranges. Most terrifying of all, they seemed to anticipate every Velkari move before it was made. "How do they know our tactics?" Krex asked desperately as his ship took heavy damage. Commander Yoon Ji-sung answered from her intelligence center. "Because we have been watching you for decades. We know how your officers think. We know how your ships move. We know everything about your empire, and you know nothing about ours." By the time the battle ended, only 3,000 Velkari ships remained from the original 20,000. They limped back to their empire carrying news that would shake the foundations of Velkari society. Humanity was not a species of peaceful traders. They were predators who had been hiding their true nature while they prepared for total war. In his command center, Admiral Kim Tae-ho watched the enemy retreat and felt satisfaction. But this was still just the beginning. Admiral, Dr. Ryu reported, Project Prometheus is ready for final testing. The biological weapons are complete. Kim nodded. The Velkari had started this war believing they could easily destroy humanity. The Velkari High Command met in emergency session on their capital world of Tekvar. 12 of the most powerful war leaders in the galaxy sat around a circular table made from the bones of their first conquest. The room had been built to celebrate victory. Today, it felt like a tomb. War Master Thek stood before them, his 4 arms hanging in defeat. His report had shaken the Empire to its core. 20,000 ships sent to crush humanity, 17,000 destroyed or damaged. The humans had not just survived, they had revealed military technology that surpassed anything the Velkari possessed. Impossible, growled High War Master Vex, supreme leader of the Velkari Empire. He was ancient by their standards, his purple skin marked with scars from 100 battles. You are telling us that these soft mammals have weapons that can destroy our shields? Ships that appear from nothing? Technology we cannot understand? I am telling you that we have been deceived, Thek replied. For 20 years the humans have been lying to us. They are not peaceful explorers. They are apex predators who were preparing for total war. Around the table, the other war leaders shifted uncomfortably. The Velkari Empire had conquered 6 species in the last century. Each victory had taken days or weeks. The idea that primitive humans could challenge their supremacy was unthinkable. What do you recommend? Vex asked. Negotiation, Thek said quietly. We should offer them terms, perhaps shared territory, maybe a non-aggression pact. The silence that followed was broken by harsh laughter from War Master Krell, youngest member of the High Command. Negotiation? With prey animals? Thek, your defeats have made you weak. We are the Velkari Empire. We do not negotiate with food. Other voices joined in agreement. The Empire had built its power on absolute dominance. The idea of treating humans as equals was impossible for them to accept. Then we commit everything, Vex declared. All 50,000 ships, every warrior, every weapon. We will show the galaxy that the Velkari Empire cannot be challenged. Thek felt cold fear in his stomach. High War Master, I strongly advise against silence. You had your chance to crush these humans. Now others will finish what you started. But unknown to the Velkari, their every word was being heard by human intelligence. Commander Yoonji Sung sat in her hidden listening post on the edge of Velkari space. For 10 years, she had been building a spy network that reached into the highest levels of enemy government. Tiny listening devices smaller than dust particles, translators who looked like enemy species, even some Velkari who had been turned against their own empire. Admiral Kim, she reported through encrypted channels, the enemy is committing their entire fleet. All 50,000 ships are moving toward human space. Admiral Kim Tae-ho received the message in his Deep Space Command Center. Around him, holographic displays showed the approaching Velkari Armada. It was the largest military force in galactic history. Good, he said calmly. The more ships they send, the more ships we can destroy. Is Fleet Admiral Oh Sung-hwan ready? All human fleets are in position, came the reply. Shadow Fleet, Defense, Fleet, and Strike Fleet. 200,000 vessels ready for combat. The Velkari did not know that humanity's 3,000 visible ships were just the beginning. Hidden throughout human space was a military force that had been building in secret for 2 decades. Ships constructed in asteroid shipyards, weapons developed in hidden laboratories, soldiers trained for a war that would determine the survival of both species. Dr. Lena Young, report on the biological weapons. Dr. Lena Young was 43 years old with the cold efficiency of someone who had spent years studying alien biology for military purposes. Her laboratory was hidden deep, inside an ice moon protected by layers of security that would stop any invasion. Project Extinction is ready, she reported. We have developed 17 different biological agents specifically targeting Velkari physiology. Each one is designed to be completely fatal and completely contagious within their species. Admiral, Kim nodded. Captain Song Woo-jin, are the stealth ships ready for deep penetration missions? Captain Song Woo-jin commanded humanity's most secret weapons, ships that could become completely invisible and travel deep into enemy territory without detection. His voice came from somewhere in the void between stars. Stealth Fleet is ready. We have identified all Velkari breeding worlds, government centers, and military bases. Give the word, and we can strike targets throughout their empire simultaneously. Kim looked at the tactical display showing the approaching enemy fleet. 50,000 ships carrying millions of alien warriors who believed they were about to crush humanity forever. They had no idea they were flying into their own extinction. Begin Phase 4, Kim ordered. Show them what total war really means. The first surprise came when the Velkari fleet reached the outer edge of human space. Instead of 17 colonies, their sensors detected hundreds of installations. Hidden, bases revealed themselves. Weapons platforms that had been disguised as asteroids began powering up. The empty space between stars suddenly filled with human ships. This is impossible. Vex stared at his tactical displays in disbelief. Where did all these installations come from? They were always here, Admiral Kang Yunji's voice broadcast across all frequencies. Hidden in the dark, waiting for you to make the mistake of bringing your entire fleet into our territory. The space around the Velkari Armada suddenly became a killing field. Weapons fired from every direction, not just the advanced technology they had seen before, but new horrors that defied understanding. Some human weapons created artificial supernovas that consumed entire enemy formations. Others opened temporary wormholes that transported Velkari ships into the hearts of stars. The most terrifying weapons seemed to erase enemy vessels from existence, leaving behind only empty space where proud warships had been. Fall back, Vex ordered. Retreat to defensive formation. But there was nowhere to retreat to. Human forces had surrounded the Velkari fleet completely. Worse, they began targeting specific types of ships with surgical precision. Dr. Ryu Jae-wook's voice echoed. Across the battlefield, we know exactly how your empire works. Command ships first, then supply vessels, then troop transports. We will strip away your fleet layer by layer until nothing remains. Fleet Admiral Oh Seung-hwan coordinated the assault from his flagship, hidden inside a hollowed-out asteroid. He was 55 years old with the tactical genius that had planned humanity's total war strategy. All units, execute Plan Omega. Time to show them that humans do not just fight wars. We end them. The attack that followed was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. Humans did not fight with honor or mercy. They fought like predators who had been planning their prey's destruction for decades. Biological weapons released by Dr. Lee Na-young began spreading through the Velkari fleet. Airborne viruses that targeted alien respiratory systems. Nanobots that dissolved their armor from the inside. Engineered plagues that turned their own immune systems against them. Sir, a Velkari medical officer reported in panic. We are detecting biological contamination on over 3,000 ships. The agents are specifically designed to kill our species. Captain Song Woo-jin's stealth ships appeared inside the enemy formation, having somehow penetrated their shields without detection. They released clouds of microscopic machines that began sabotaging Velkari ships from within. How did they get through our defenses? Krell demanded. Because we designed our technology specifically to defeat yours. Song's voice came from everywhere and nowhere. We have been studying your weaknesses for 20 years. Every system you trust, we know how to destroy. But the most terrifying revelation was still to come. General Nam Kyung-soo's strategic assessment reached every human commander simultaneously. Enemy breeding worlds have been located, stealth teams are in position, biological weapons are ready for deployment. War Master Thek, commanding what remained of his personal fleet, felt ice in his veins. They cannot mean, this is Admiral Kim Tae-ho, came a broadcast that reached every Velkari ship. You declared war on humanity. You threatened our colonies. You promised to kill our children. Now you will learn what happens when you threaten the young of apex predators. Across Velkari space, invisible human ships began releasing biological weapons specifically designed to target Velkari breeding cycles. The weapons would not just kill the current generation, they would ensure no future generations could survive. You are committing genocide, Vex screamed over the communication channels. No, Admiral Kim replied calmly. We are committing species defense. You wanted to exterminate humanity. We are simply more efficient at extermination than you are. The Velkari fleet began to collapse. Ships that had seemed invincible were being destroyed by weapons they could not understand. Their crews were dying from diseases specifically engineered to kill their species. Worst of all, reports were coming in from their home worlds. "High War Master," a terrified voice reported. "All breeding facilities on Thekvar are under attack. The humans are targeting our young. Kalani system reports biological contamination in the nursery worlds. Vextar colonies are requesting emergency evacuation." Fleet Admiral Oh Seung-hwan watched the enemy's growing panic with satisfaction. "This is what total war looks like. We do not fight for territory or resources." 6 months after the war began, President Han Min-seo stood before the United Colonial Government in New Geneva, Earth. She was 48 years old with silver hair and eyes that had seen too much. Behind her, a massive screen showed a map of the galaxy. Where the Velkari Empire had once controlled hundreds of systems, there was now only empty space. "The Velkari Empire no longer exists," she announced to the assembled representatives. "Their species is extinct. Their worlds are sterile. Their threat to humanity has been permanently removed." The chamber was silent. Even though they had known this moment was coming, the reality was difficult to process. In 6 months, humanity had completely destroyed a galactic empire that had existed for over 1,000 years. "How many survived?" asked the representative. "From New Busan." "None," President Han replied simply. "Total biological extinction was the only acceptable outcome. Any survivors could have eventually threatened human children. We could not allow that risk." Dr. Park Soo-jin sat in the front row, her hands folded in her lap. For 5 years, she had been humanity's voice of peace and diplomacy. Now she was the keeper of records for the greatest act of genocide in galactic history. "The final count," she read from her datapad, "is 17 billion Velkari killed across 437 worlds. All major population centers destroyed. All breeding facilities eliminated. All genetic materials sterilized. The species that called themselves the Masters of the Galaxy lasted exactly 183 days after threatening humanity." In the audience, some representatives looked sick. Others nodded with grim satisfaction. The war had revealed something about human nature that many preferred not to acknowledge. Admiral Kim Tae-ho entered the chamber and walked to the podium. He looked older than his 53 years. The war had aged him, but it had also shown him what humans were truly capable of when their survival was threatened. "Some of you are wondering if we went too far," he said. "Some of you think we should have accepted their surrender. Some of you believe we could have found a peaceful solution." He touched a control, and the screen behind him changed to show images from the Velkari homeworld of Thekvar. Once, it had been a beautiful planet with purple oceans and crystal cities. Now it was a dead rock covered in ash. "Let me tell you what the Velkari would have done to us," Kim continued. "Their own records, recovered from their military archives, show their standard procedure for conquered species. Total enslavement, breeding programs to create better workers, experimentation on children to develop new biological weapons. After a few generations, complete extinction when they found more useful slaves. The images changed to show Velkari documents translated into human languages, plans for human slave camps, designs for breeding facilities, scientific studies on human pain tolerance. They did not want to rule us," Kim said. "They wanted to use us until we were no longer useful, then dispose of us like garbage. When someone threatens to treat your children like laboratory animals, you do not negotiate. You remove the threat permanently." Fleet Admiral Oh Seung-hwan stood to address the assembly. He had commanded the final phase of the war, coordinating the systematic destruction of every Velkari world. "The galaxy is watching us," he said. 47 different species have sent representatives to Earth in the last month. They all want to know the same thing. Are humans a threat to them? President Han nodded. "And what have you told them?" "The truth. Humans are peaceful by choice, not by weakness. We prefer to trade and explore rather than conquer. But if any species threatens our families, we will not just defeat them. We will erase them from existence." Dr. Lee Na-young entered the chamber carrying a sealed case. Inside were samples of the biological weapons that had made Velkari extinction possible. She was pale and thin from months of working without rest, but her eyes were steady. "The galaxy needs to understand what happened here," she said. We did not use nuclear weapons or antimatter bombs. We used biology itself as a weapon. The diseases we created were designed to be absolutely fatal to Velkari physiology while being completely harmless to every other known species. She opened the case, revealing small vials of clear liquid. Each one contained enough engineered viruses to kill every Velkari in the galaxy. These weapons still exist, she continued, and we have similar weapons designed for 46 other species just in case they decide to threaten humanity. We study every alien we meet. We learn their biology. We prepare for the possibility that they might become our enemies. Captain Song Woo-jin materialized in the chamber using advanced stealth technology. He had spent the war conducting deep penetration missions into enemy territory, and his ships were still hidden throughout the galaxy. Our stealth fleets remain deployed, he reported. We have ships within striking distance of every major alien population center. If any species decides to follow the Velkari example, they will discover that we are already in position to end them. The representative from New Seoul raised her hand. Admiral Kim, what about the other species the Velkari conquered? Are we liberating them? Kim shook his head. Liberation implies they would be free. We are not freeing them. We are evaluating them. Any species that might pose a future threat to humanity will be dealt with appropriately. Commander Yoon Ji-sung stepped forward with intelligence reports from across the galaxy. 47 species have contacted us since the Velkari extinction. 39 have offered tribute. 22 want to become human vassals. 15 have asked for protection from other threats. And the others? 8 species have gone silent and appear to be building military forces. We are watching them carefully. President Han looked out at the assembled representatives. These people had been elected to govern peaceful colonies and trading posts. Now they were overseeing an empire built on the most complete act of genocide in galactic history. I want to be clear about what humanity has become, she said. We are no longer the peaceful explorers we pretended to be. We are apex predators who revealed our true nature when someone threatened our young. Every species in the galaxy now knows what happens when you mistake our restraint for weakness. Dr. Park Soo-jin stood to deliver her final report as humanity's former chief diplomat. I have received 47 formal requests for diplomatic relations, she said. Not one of them mentions trade agreements or cultural exchange. They all use the same word, submission. The galaxy wants to surrender to us before we decide they are a threat. Admiral Kim nodded. Good. Fear is more useful than friendship. Friends can become enemies. Species that fear extinction will never threaten human children. Engineer Cho Min-ho entered the chamber wheeling a cart covered with weapons that defied known physics. For months he had been mass-producing instruments of war that could destroy entire star systems. Production facilities are complete, he reported. We can now build reality-disrupting weapons, planet-cracking devices, and star-killing missiles on an industrial scale. Any species that threatens humanity can be erased from existence within hours. General Nam Kyung-soo stood to deliver the military assessment. Human space now encompasses 437 former Velkari systems. Our military forces are spread across 1,200 worlds. Every human colony is now a fortress capable of defending itself against any known threat. We have evolved from a peaceful trading civilization into the most powerful military force in galactic history. President Han looked at the assembled representatives one final time. Some of you are wondering if we have become monsters, she said. Let me answer that question. Yes, we have. When someone threatens to enslave and experiment on human children, we become the most efficient monsters the galaxy has ever seen. She touched a control, and the screen showed the current political map of the galaxy. Human space was marked in blue. Formerly, Velkari space was marked in black. Allied species were marked in green. Potential threats were marked in red. This is the new reality, she continued. Humanity is no longer one species among many. We are the apex predators of the galaxy. We achieved this position not through conquest, but through self-defense. The Velkari forced us to reveal our true nature. Dr. Park Soo-jin stood for her final statement as keeper of the war records. History will judge what we have done here, she said. Some will call it genocide. Others will call it species defense. I prefer to call it a lesson. Any species that threatens human children will be extinct within 6 months. This is not a threat. This is a promise backed by demonstrated capability. Admiral, Kim approached the podium for his closing remarks. The war is over, but our vigilance never ends. We now monitor every species in the galaxy. We study their biology, their technology, their military capabilities. If any of them show signs of becoming a threat to humanity, we will end them before they can act. He paused and looked directly at the camera broadcasting to the entire galaxy. We did not start this war. We did not want this war. But when the Velkari threatened our families, we showed them what war with humanity really means. Let their extinction serve as a permanent reminder. We are peaceful by choice, not by weakness. Choose your actions carefully. President Han delivered her final statement to the galaxy. This is President Han Min-seo of the Human Colonial Government.